Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our fifth series of USM Create Talk here on our Facebook page. My name is Chee, and I'm honored to be hosting today's event. We have a very special guest today to talk about this interesting topic, which is the challenges of performing arts during pandemic. Before we move to our main agenda, let me introduce you what is actually USM Create. All right. USM Create at Georgetown is an acronym for Creative, Regenerative Environment for Talented Artists and Entrepreneurs. Create USM is a space positioned to foster the artistic talent, design, exploration, and technological scene for artists, entrepreneurs, community, and industry within Penang and Southeast Asia. USM Create is a special avenue to help showcase your work by supporting your talents and hone your creative ability. And we are also hoping that the emergence of this new platform will cultivate the culture and the spirits of networking and partnership between USM communities and the industry, and also the involvement of the local communities. All right. For those who really do not know where is USM Create is actually, all right. So USM Create is located in the heart of Georgetown at Lebo, China. It's just opposite of Pejabat Custom, nearby Jetty. Yeah? Inside the Think City building is in Bangunan UAB. Let's take a look at this video to give you a clearer picture of the space. All right. So yeah, that is USM Create corporate video. All right, that you have seen a beautiful pictures, and we at USM Create welcomes everyone who is interested to collaborate with us. So please feel free to contact me through our social media on our Facebook and Instagram. We are incredibly excited to have you on board. All right, so I think that's all for the introduction of USM Create. So now let's proceed with our main program. All right. First and foremost, we would like to thank our panel and speaker for today's talk. Let me introduce our moderator today, Associate Professor Dr. A.S. Hadi Shafii. All right. So let me give you some introduction of our moderator today. Associate Professor Dr. A.S. Hadi Shafii trained in acting in Goldsmith College, University of London during his Masters of Arts degree in Performance Studies in 1994 to 1995, and completed his PhD in 2004 at School of the Arts, University Science Malaysia. His academic publication was published by Routledge in 2017, titled Maio Titis Sakti, Reflection on Malay Traditional Performance, culture and the Malay worldwide through an adaptation of Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Mak Yong Perspective on Malaysia Traditional Theatre by the Dewan Bahasa and Pustaka in 2015, and his latest publication is titled Local Knowledge Through the Integration of Design and Perspective of Visual and Performing Arts in 2021 by Penerbit University Science Malaysia. His current research is on Mak Yong performance in southern Thailand and Riau, Indonesia, titled Locating Identity in Mak Yong, interrogating hybridity in the performance of Mak Yong in Southeast Asian region, which is under Research University Grant 2018-2020, and Spiritual Jihad in Intervention through Drama by Shakespeare or Other Playwrights, a case study investigating the effectiveness of drama performance in preventing essentialist tendencies, which is also under Research University Grant by University Science Malaysia, 2019 to 2022. Hello. All right. As a theater director, he has ventured into different types of theater genres, ranging from absurd, which is known as Not a Suicide in Vietnam, 2013, tragedy, Hamlet, which was performed in Penang in 2014, traditional theater, which is Boria Jawi Peranakan in 2014, an experimental to a device play at UNESCO EBP, which is full form Asia Pacific Born Theatre School Directors Conference and Festival title Reflection on Another performed in Shanghai, which is under Shanghai Theatre Academy in China 2014, and The Sound of Silence by La Salle College of the Arts in Singapore in 2015. And also we have Kiri and Kana, which was performed in National School of Drama in New Delhi in India, which was performed in 2016. And we also have Bayang, which was performed at Institute Seni Indonesia, which is known as ISI in Yogyakarta in September 2018, and AMO in collaboration with Victoria College of the Arts, VCA Melbourne University, performed in Hanoi, Vietnam in September 2019. He was appointed as research fellow at the University of Minnesota, the USA, in 2018, and currently he is lecturing at the School of the Arts, University Science Malaysia. Without any ado, without wasting further time, we would like to call upon Professor Dr. A.S. Hadi Shafii.
Hi. Am I online now?
All right, Prof.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you see me?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah. Hi, Assalamualaikum. And very good afternoon to all our viewers who are here online, live on our FB Create USM. And I hope that all of you are well, happy, and most importantly, healthy, right? During this pandemic season. So in conjunction of our webinar series on createUSM at Georgetown, today's topic is going to be the challenges of performing arts during the pandemic of COVID-19. So we are actually very proud to have our special guests with us this afternoon. They are actually very well known in their own respective fields, not only in Penang, but also in Malaysia and also known in overseas. So let's welcome our panels for this afternoon. Give them a virtual clap to our panel this afternoon. Mr. Chee Thim. Hi, Mr. Thim. Who is currently our industry fellow at School of the Arts, USM. And also Mr. Shapee Embi, who is the Director of National Department for Culture and Arts, the Director of JKKN Penang. Assalamualaikum Cik Bam.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. Selamat petang semua.
Kat mana Cik Bam?
Oh, saya di pejabat sekarang ya.
Cantik pejabat kat belakang tu.
Ni pinjam ya, pinjam.
Where are you, Thim, at the
I'm in
moment?
my studio. I'm in my studio in Georgetown.
Oh, you are in your studio?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good. I hope you're well.
Very well, thank you.
All right. So but before we start with our discussion for this afternoon, title, of course, the challenges of performing arts during the pandemic of COVID-19. You know, let's get. I mean, people want to get to know you. Because we all know, with each other. So allow me to read their biodata. So to those who are not familiar with Cik Shafii, Cik Embi, and also Chee Thim, they probably like say, "Oh, I've seen this guy before. He's looked very familiar somewhere," But then they probably let's get to know them a little bit more. Okay, let's introduce one of our panels here, Chee Thim. Okay, allow me to read because I may miss something. All right, Chee Thim. He's a theatre director and a performer based in Georgetown, Penang. Has been involved in the performing arts in Malaysia since 1992. In the early years of his involvement, he worked extensively with some of KL's most esteemed theatre luminaries that included dancer and choreographer Marian de Cruz. I think Marian is here. Now I think I can see her. Hello, Marian. The playwright Leo Poitin, and also theatre director, the late Christian Jeet. Thim's directorial projects spanned a range of genres from solo to ensemble work, monologues to musicals, and usually deal with local stories and histories. His last two directorial projects before the pandemic hit were a Penang Hokkien play titled Tai Chi Tua Tiao. I hope I pronounce it correctly.
It's very good.
Produced by ZXC Theatre Troupe and was performed in Penang and KL in 2018 and 2019. And Johan Othman's Malam Takdir in 2019, which is currently waiting to be restaged as an opera. As an actor, he was last seen in The Italian Restaurant, a contemporary no play written and directed by Naohiko Umiwaka, for the Georgetown Arts Festival in 2017. I think we remember we worked together here with Thim.
Yes.
Yeah, probably 4 years ago, Thim.
Yeah.
So in 2003, Thim founded Reka Art Space, a studio in Penang that supports young artists by providing infrastructure for workshops and performance. Wayang Disingke, which featured weekly theatre performances over 3 months, was a yearly staple of the company. Chee Thim is also a member of Five Arts Centre, a KL-based theatre company. He is now currently an industry fellow with the School of the Arts, University of Science Based. So that is Chee Thim. So now let's get to know about with the other panel. All right, the other panel is also very glamour.
Ah,
Okay, Mr. Shapee Embi. All right, Mr. Shapee Embi started his career as a dancer with State Secretary Penang Incorporation SSI Penang Municipal Council and with School of the Arts USM in 1983. Next, he was involved as a dancer in the Tarina group, which allows him to perform abroad, such as in Switzerland, Italy, Japan, Australia, Brunei, Thailand, and several cities, as well as in Malaysia. Later, he became a choreographer for the Mustika Sari, Pinamas, and Budaya Sari groups. Encik Shapee bin Embi continued his studies in the Creative Arts Certificates Program Theatre in USM in August 1996. He then pursued his degree in Performing Arts from USM in the year 2002. And later on, he became a cultural artist as a choreographer in the Seberang Perai Municipal Council from 2003 to 2007. And after that, he reported at Istana Budaya as a marketing manager in the year 2008 to 2015. And later on, he received his master's degree in communication, integrated marketing communication from USM, Kuala Lumpur in the year 2012. In the year 2015, he was transferred to the National Department of Culture and Arts Headquarters, Ministry of Tourism and Culture in the Research and Policy Coordination Division, and then was transferred to the Product Development and Arts Culture Division as a Senior Assistant Director. Starting 20th May 2018, he then was transferred to JKKN Sarawak as the Deputy Director of Sarawak. He was often called to be the panel of judges for competitions organized by the Malaysian Universities Cultural Council, which is actually known as MAKUM, Sports Curriculum and Arts Division under the Ministry of Education and Schools. On the 6th of January 2020, he once again transferred to JKKN headquarters and was placed in the Arts and Culture Division until June 2020. And on the 1st of July 2020, he was transferred to JKKN Penang as the Director of JKKN Penang. So orang besar Penang, Director Penang. Eh?
balik kampung.
Balik kampung. So we have all the Penangites here. Yahoo Penang. All right. Okay. All right. Before we start with our discussion for this afternoon, titled "The Challenges of Performing Arts During the Pandemic of COVID-19." You know, we normally have a warm-up session. You know, always in the performing arts, we always have a from breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So shall we warm up with some light perceptions on COVID-19, right? So I would just like to know. I'll probably ask Thim first. Thim, can you share with us your first experience during our first lockdown last year? I think it was probably like March in 2020. And where were you at that time? And do you think that the pandemic would go away after the first lockdown? Can you share with us where were you at the time?
I was actually abroad. I was when when the lockdown was imposed, I was traveling with my family, and we were in Spain actually.
Wow.
And I
Oh, nice.
experienced the lockdown first in Spain. At that time, Spain was considered a safe destination to go to. If you can remember, Italy was the first place that had a really severe outbreak of the disease in Europe, and then I moved to Spain very quickly. So we were caught in the middle of our trip in Granada, and there was this big scramble to shift our flights home because it was almost like every day when you booked on a new flight, the next day it's cancelled, because borders were closing by the hour. And airlines were being banned from arriving from certain countries as well. So eventually we managed to get back to Malaysia at that time. It was already about a week into the pandemic, a week into the lockdown. And it was very, very nice and well handled actually at the airport. We were told at that time we were not, we were sort of trusted to do our own quarantine, and we sent home to quarantine by ourselves for 14 days, which I did. It was a very strange experience in the sense that when you, at that time, in the heart of Penang, before the pandemic hit, it was bubbling with a lot of activities. Being I live very close to the center of Georgetown, so there were a lot of tourists around, and the kopitiams were, always bustling with people. So there were always people walking in and in front of the house, passing by the house. And if you opened the door, the street was always busy, and there were trucks and lorries loading and unloading. So all that suddenly disappeared. So in the middle of the night and during the day, there was this deathly silence. A very, very strange experience. It was exciting in the sense that, you kind of feel that you are an actor in a movie, in a disaster movie. So, that sort of like kept the energies going for a while. And I had two projects that were pending. That was supposed to happen after I came back, but of course it couldn't happen right now, and we had no idea how long this lockdown was going to last. So we just hung on and we just hoped and we assumed that eventually things were going to open up in a few weeks. But the few weeks turned out to be about a month, and it turned out to be 6 weeks, and turned out to be 2 months, and we were still hoping to reopen. By about mid-year, it was already quite clear that things were not going to get back to any kind of normalcy soon. So at that time, I decided that I would close. I was running a guest house. So I decided to close the guest house and just ride it out. And that was the beginning of the sort of mundanity and the daily grind of the reality of being in lockdown. That's when it really started to kick in. So the excitement and the imagination of living a life inside a movie, that all passed eventually, and you have to deal with the realities of the situation, which was not that pleasant, but
Alright.
Yeah.
So Cik Bam, macam mana pula Cik Bam? Masa tu at that time, where were you at that time? During I mean, it must be last year, right? Last year, March.
Last year.
March
Okay.
2020. So where were you at that time, and what do you think about the pandemic at the time?
Okay. Terima kasih Prof firstly kerana jemput saya lah untuk join program, boleh kata sembang santai lah talk, createTALK, the challenge of performing arts during pandemic sebelum saya relatekan dengan pada ketika itu saya di mana, saya daripada Sarawak memang transfer ke KL pada ketika itu. saya rasa bulan Februari kita sebenarnya dah ada kes kes yang daripada luar negara memang telah berlaku di Kuala Lumpur. Pada ketika itu saya di HQ Ibu Pejabat JKKN Kuala Lumpur, belum lagi ke Penang. Pada masa itu kita dah mulai takut sebab di bangunan TH Perdana tu dah ada orang yang telah kena virus COVID di mana kita pun dah sanitasi di bangunan itu. Kemudian kita kan nak press button nak naik guna lift masa tu takut nak pergi keluar pergi makan di dekat sebelah Sogo pun takut. Semua kita order saja makanan pada tu. Okey, itu ketika dah berlaku pun COVID masa itu saya nak balik ke Penang, okey. Memang saya selalu balik Penang sebab balik kampung kan. Tapi belum lagi di JKKN Pulau Pinang. Saya balik dalam tempoh 2-3 hari Mac sebelum berlakunya lockdown di Penang. Saya tinggal di Pulau Pinang, saya balik. Tiba-tiba 18 Mac tu diisytiharkan lockdown. Saya tak boleh pergi mana, kawan saya pun tak boleh pergi mana dan masa tu memang macam panik sedikit lah macam panik dan tiba-tiba macam burung Garuda kan, burung Garuda yang turun tu kita jadi takut, semua silent. Saya tahu macam Prof pun menghadapi yang sama, si Thim pun kan, semua silent. Jalan raya tu semua tak dengar pun, kereta pergi mana pun semua tak dengar. Jadi masa itu kita dengar arahan dari masa ke semasa dari Perdana Menteri dan juga Menteri yang jaga tentang kesihatannya, menerangkan tentang SOP dan sebagainya. Just kita follow sahaja. Kita follow sajalah macam tu. Tetapi pada ketika itu memang semua takut lah. Macam nak pegang ini takut, nak pegang itu takut kan. Jadi semua dalam keadaan takut sebenarnya. Compare dengan sekarang ni, wah hilang takut kan. Tapi kita sebenarnya perlu jaga SOP tu sepanjang masa. Sepanjang masa. Ini bukan orang kata apa? Ini bukan cobaan Ini the real yang terjadi di depan mata, kemudian behind the story, Prof tahu tentang apa yang berlaku kan. So kisah ini sangat-sangat sukarlah, di mana kalau penggiat pun ketika ini, penggiat NGO yang terlibat dalam industri seni, semua berhenti seketika. Jadi pada masa ini berlakulah kesedihan macam tadi Siti cakap, activity, no more activity. Kalau you dance, no more. Kalau teater pun no more, music no more, semua yang no more kan. Jadi itu adalah salah satu penyebab yang berlaku pada ketika pandemik. Jadi kita akan teruskan lagi nanti perkembangan bukan selepas, tak ada lagi, sekarang masih lagi dalam pandemik kan. Tetapi apa yang akan berlaku seterusnya. Sekejap lagi kita akan sambung lah. Caranya, Prof.
Yeah. At that time, we actually really want to know what is going on, and I actually at that time really Google what to know what is coronavirus, what it's all about. We all know that coronavirus actually really started even in actually from 1930s, but then at that time it will actually hit us like so bad starting last year. So okay. Coming back to our discussion, so okay, after our warm-up session, okay, now after our warm-up questions, okay, let's go into the topic, which is actually the challenges of performing arts during the pandemic. So, Thim, all right, as a director or theatre practitioner or as an actor. Can you describe to us how do you adjust yourself with your creativity process? Because some artists sometimes it's just like how are you going to get that kind of idea at home? You know, you're confined to your place. You know, sometimes artists really want to go to the studio. Without going to the studio, you're not going to work. So how do you deal with that as a person, as an artist? How do you adjust yourself? Whether it's going to, is it the same style that you've done it before, or you have to adjust to the situation? Can you share with us?
Sure. Well, first of all, I don't adjust. I have just stopped doing any creative work relating to the theatre. I am a little bit old-fashioned because for me, being involved in the theatre means interacting with human beings, being in the same space with other creative people and sharing ideas, and we build a particular piece of work together. I think I never really felt I never really appreciated how physical this process is and how important sort of a face-to-face interaction with another human being is in relation to how we create and how we develop the work that we do. I find it very difficult to be online, except for entertainment purposes. It's very strange to be talking into the computer and especially with students, staring into their faces and they're kind of blank and you can't really read a lot of the gestures and facial expressions and that's happening as they are listening to you. That's number one. And number two, our internet connection isn't really that good. So, there's this lag. And even when we are doing readings, you can't really get a sense of the timing of the text. You can't get a sense of the timing of the interactions between characters online. So I have stopped doing that. However, I have seen other people who have been very, very comfortable being online. I don't know. Can I talk about?
Sure.
What I have seen. Yeah.
They're happy working at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks to Chandana, who has made funding available, available to quite a lot of artists during this time. Some of the practitioners, like this storyteller, Kim Sir, he does storytelling for children. And he got a grant from Chandana and he created a series of solo performances in video form, which he streamed online, and he managed to get the full houses in each one of these streamings. So, it has worked very successfully for him. I managed to take a class from ASK. It was very, very difficult trying to learn the Terinai online, but I did it. And Muhammad Zulkarnain, one of the dancers, he was, I don't know, out of desperation or out of boredom, he went online and on TikTok, he did a 13-second collaboration with somebody called Bob the Drag Queen. And it was a 13-second Bharatanatyam collaboration. And I thought, oh, that is very, very interesting because it is a seed of an idea. And as we go along, technology is going to be here as part of our lives. And we have known this even before the pandemic. But what the lockdown has done is that it has reinforced and pushed forward this idea in a very significant way. So it sort of fast forwarded the role that technology is playing in our lives. And it's a good thing because it makes performances accessible to a lot of people who may not be able to attend these performances. And you can do collaborations in the case of what Muhammad Zulkarnain was doing with Bob the drag queen, a collaboration with somebody from another part of the world. And Yayasan Budaya Johor had a Zapin challenge. I was just blown away. It's like I feel so old and so old-fashioned because they were doing the Zapin challenge to a 1967 song called Begging, Begging You. So there was this kind of a funky beat and they were doing this Zapin challenge. It was like over a minute, but under 2 minutes. And I thought that was extremely interesting as well. And one of the most interesting experimentations that I saw using online technology was the graduating students from Sunway University, and also a production that was put up by Five Arts Center called OP and Professor Communitas. And this performance was, these two performances or experiments were done using Zoom. In the case of the USM, the Sunway University students, they recorded part of the performance and the other part of the performance was live streamed. And I'm not talking about a straightforward kind of a video recording. There was a very interesting play and exploration of the possibilities of what the application is capable of doing, like playing with different placement of different screens in different parts of the computer screen, moving in and out of the camera, entrances from the left and right of the computer screen, and using backdrops as ways of enhancing or bringing out the context of the meanings of the text. So these were all, I mean, they were by no means smooth because of many reasons. But I see these kinds of experiments and playfulness that has come out of these kinds of little events as very positive and encouraging potentials for what can happen in the future as the development of the applications improve and as our internet connection improves, and I can't wait for 5G to be rolled out for these kinds of things to happen in a better way. Yeah, so that is my experience with dealing with the notion of rehearsal and practice.
All right. So I mean you really already talk about your experience and also your experience with the other with your actors and whatnot already. But let me ask Cik Shapee about his experience. Cik Bam, macam mana? I call you Cik Bam pula.
Tak apa, it's okay.
Shapee.
No problem.
As a choreographer, or maybe as a director, maybe macam mana Cik Bam, how do you describe yourself? Macam mana adjust with your creative process, because you are now, you probably you cannot go anywhere. You probably in your room, your small room or big room, or just in your house. How do you adjust with the situation?
Okay, terima kasih Prof. Itu yang kita katakan sekarang new norm, norma baru. Okay, pembudayaan norma baru tu secara tidak langsung telah mengubah cara kita berfikir dan bekerja, berkreativiti, termasuklah dalam konteks seni budaya ini. Okay, bila saya mula bertugas di Pulau Pinang, sebab dalam tempoh Februari hingga Jun, saya memang terperangkap dengan pandemik ni kan. Kemudian saya datang 1 Julai, memang pandemik berterusan. Apa saya kena rangka dalam masa saya sebagai seorang pengarah JKKN Pulau Pinang? Nak guna studio tak boleh. Nak guna auditorium tak boleh, sebab kita kena ikut SOP yang telah dikeluarkan oleh Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. Betul? Melalui fasa-fasa yang sekarang memang ada, fasa 1, fasa 2, fasa 3, dan belum sampai lagi kita ke fasa 3 ya. Jadi dan tiada sebarang rakaman yang boleh dibenarkan buat di dalam permis JKKN pada ketika inilah. Jadi saya merancangkan kita punya kreativiti dengan saya mohon semua penggiat NGO yang sekitar Pulau Pinang ni terus berkarya. Contohnya kalau dia berkarya dalam tari, saya mohon dia daripada mereka untuk beri kita video pendek untuk kita siarkan dalam FB ataupun IG JKKN Pulau Pinang. Begitu juga kalau teater, monolog, you jangan stop, mesti kena berkarya, teruskan berkarya. Jadi kita hanya membantu mereka melalui medium-medium ini untuk kita laksanakan. Untuk nak datang ke JKKN Pulau Pinang tak boleh. Kita siapa pun tak boleh masuk. Jadi dengan secara tak langsung semua orang boleh berkarya. Kami membantu untuk menyiarkan melalui medium atau fanpage melalui JKKN Pulau Pinang. Itu satu. Keduanya, melalui program di bawah Jawatan Kuasa Fokus JKFG di bawah ICU, bukan ICU yang hospital, bukan. Okey, kita bekerjasama bagi gurau-gurau sikit petang ni. Kita bekerjasama, kita buat kursus jangka pendek lah, tetapi 6 bulan kita buat berterusan. Mungkin Prof tak tahu, kemudian si Thim pun tak tahu perkembangan yang berlaku di JKKN. Kita teruskan melaksanakan program kursus tari, kita panggil didik seni ataupun bengkel celik seni, iaitu di mana kita ada pembelajaran tari, belajar tari di dalam online secara Google Meet. Ada guru-guru yang telah kita lantik seramai 6 orang melatih pelajar-pelajar untuk terus menari. Kemudian kita ada bengkel teater. Ada guru teater yang mengajar dalam talian juga dan juga boria. Kita melalui talian semua ini. Perkembangan yang cukup sihat di mana pelajar-pelajar ini walaupun menggunakan medium Google Meet, tetapi prosesnya masih boleh dilihat perkembangan pelajar-pelajar itu. Jadi ini yang menyebabkan saya begitu syukur bahawa kita tidak stop setakat itu. Jadi boleh berterusan dengan kita terus mengajar without datang ke JKKN di rumah. Jadi masa di rumah tu kita nampaklah perkembangan tengah berlatih menari, tiba-tiba adik dia di belakang main kan, itu perkara biasa kan. Lepas tu tengah belajar menari kata mak dia pula panggil kan. So berbagai-bagai lah macam sekarang kan pelajar-pelajar sekolah pun bila belajar kan PDRP yang daripada rumah tu. Saya pun lupa
PDR, PDP ya.
Ya, betul.
Okey.
Kemudian kita berterusan dengan program tadi adalah didik. Kemudian kita berterusan dengan melaksanakan festival kesenian Pulau Pinang. Walaupun kita dalam keadaan sekarang pandemik ini, kita terus melaksanakan konsert dalam konsert virtual secara dalam online. Kalau doktor, Prof, Thim berkesempatan melihat persembahan kami pada malam ambang merdeka 30 hari bulan ini dan juga 16 September ini, tengok bagaimana kami mengekspreskan persembahan itu melalui virtual yang di mana kami tidak jumpa pun. Semuanya memberi video dan kami edit menjadi satu program yang menarik. Jadi itu yang kedua. Yang ketiganya ialah di mana kami membuat pertandingan. Bermakna pertandingan, kami buat pertandingan tarian tradisional, tarian kreasi berbagai peringkat. Satu dari sekolah rendah, kedua sekolah menengah, ketiga IPT iaitu dari universiti, dan yang keempat adalah terbuka, siapa-siapa pun boleh masuk. Itu tarian. Yang kedua monolog pun sama, kita buat peringkat sekolah menengah, sekolah universiti dan juga terbuka, dan juga kita buat pertandingan sajak. So siapa yang berminat sajak nak ekspreskan apa yang keluar pasal pandemik ke, COVID ke dan sebagainya, luaskan kan. Jadi kita bagi medium ini untuk semua orang di mana saja melaksanakan dia punya kreativiti, sebab dalam tempoh ini tiada sekatan. Cuma yang tersekatnya jangan lupa SOP.
Oh, so,
So
okay.
itu saja.
Prof. Okay. Itu dah banyak betul masuk aktiviti. Sebenarnya soalan tu saya akan tanya kemudian. Tapi tak apa dulu. Simpan dulu.
Jadi saya ulang semula.
Tak apa. It's okay. Alright. Okay, Thim, it's just that just now, it's just because from your point of view as an artist, right? As an artist, and how do you actually work, and how do you get the idea and all that? You're working at home and all that. So I just want to know from your point of view as an artist, as a theatre director, and also as an actor. Do you think it is for you? Is it difficult for you to handle your usual face-to-face interactions? Because we are very tactile. Your physical interaction with the actors, because we always want to, hey, something wrong with your body and all that. You do like this and all that, and you cannot whack them or something like that. And at the same time, people can say that you should be you adjust to that. You should be creative with that. And do you think this is this is difficult for you in terms of your creativity?
It is very, very difficult. As I said, there are limitations to what you can do with online. With the students right now, I don't do any physical work with them. So we are doing all text-based work, and a lot of discussions and talking. However, I do understand the importance of eventually getting down to dealing with this problem. But for now, it's going to happen. We are definitely going to go back into the rehearsal space. As it is, I am already planning to step right back into the rehearsal on the 20th of September in USM. So, it's going to happen. But the role of technology and the role of what we do in using technology and the applications that are found in technology, I think has an important part to play in how we develop work and how we train students right now, because it has really opened up many possibilities and the reasons why we would want to continue to have this in conjunction with a live performance and a live experience of creating work is because it simply makes things a lot more possible. It opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of collaborating with people who are physically unable to be in the same space, making your own work accessible to people who are not able to come to the space. And the spaces that we are talking about are not going to be post-COVID ready anytime soon, because we are talking about air conditioning systems and we are talking about ventilation systems, and there will be people who are not going to be comfortable being in these kinds of situations. So the whole process of live feeding becomes very important as well. And also, of course, building an audience. Technology has made it very, it has opened up the audience base tremendously. And also for the future, because 20s, people who are in their early 20s and late teens are constantly glued to their devices. They are very, very comfortable being online. You know, they can talk to you face to face and be fiddling with the devices, looking for looking for translations of what you're saying, or looking for backups of what you're saying, and trying to reinforce your ideas, all sorts of things, or taking notes. So that's definitely going to be part of the system. As for me, it's going to be difficult. I mean, I find it very, very difficult even to learn a dance online, because half the time my mind is trying to switch things from the other way. So it's always a mirror image, and it's so difficult for me to follow. But some of the teachers are able to look and to correct very easily. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe how I'm going to eventually respond to having, if I'm forced to do a rehearsal online, I suppose it's going to happen lah. But I think that it's definitely something that is worth thinking about in terms of training the younger generation to have these kinds of skills as part of, to include it as part of their coursework or part of the requirements. So for example, that they need to do one project using a social media platform like a TikTok presentation or an IG presentation. You know, I think because then it sort of normalizes the use of these things, these applications in a field that has traditionally kind of prided itself on being live and being able to interact with audiences and being able to feel the energy in the room, so to speak. But as so yeah.
Okay, Cik Bam. Macam mana pula Cik Bam? I mean, from your point of view kan, let's say Cik Shafii,
Cik Bam pun tak apa, okay.
As a choreographer kan, kita macam dah biasa teaching face to face, apa benda body salah and all that, because through online is sometimes it's difficult, isn't it, to say like something wrong with your body and all that, and do you think it's difficult to actually teach, like in terms of you got the idea for your choreography, let's say for your dance, and you have to teach them online, and it must be frustrating for you because you need that kind of physical interaction with your dancers. How do you feel with that? Macam mana Cik Bam rasa macam tu?
Okay. Thank you. Somebody asked me why I'm not talking in English. I
Siapa cakap bahasa Malaysia pun boleh.
It's okay. We all Malaysian kan, apa-apa pun boleh. Okay. Nakal. Okay. Beginilah, saya adalah bekas choreographer and dan juga sebagai dancer. Sudah tentu secara fizikal dan juga secara maya itu berbeza. Cukup berbeza. Okey, walaupun saya sebagai seorang pengarah, apabila saya last year saya ada menganjurkan kursus pemantapan tari untuk semua dancer di Pulau Pinang. Dengan choreographer yang hebat-hebat dari Kuala Lumpur, saya turunkan ke Penang. On that time, masih lagi mereka boleh datang ke Penang. Sekarang memang tak boleh rentas negeri ya. Okey. Bila berlaku koreografi yang fizikal, kita nak menggerakkan badan. Okey, of course koreografer pun akan membentukkan your physical dan senang. Okey. Let's say kita nak kata pergerakan yang bagaimana, kita boleh tunjuk bagaimana you nak bergerak ke kiri atau ke kanan, level atas, level sederhana, level bawah, jadi kita boleh. Tetapi di maya macam sekarang, bagaimana koreografer dari JKKN bila mengajar pelajar-pelajar tarian joget, inang, zapin, agak sukar pelajar-pelajar itu memahami. Lagi-lagi yang sukar ialah jika pelajar itu zero, kita nak mengajar step yang pertama, kedua, ketiga dan sebagainya agak lambat. Jadi perbezaannya dia agak maksudnya lebih senang untuk mengajar secara fizikal. Okey. Kalau penari itu memang profesional, macam Sweet Thim pun tahu, Prof pun tahu, profesional senang. Kita kata, okay, you move left, you move right. Okay, dia faham dan sebagainya kan. Tetapi kalau pelajar-pelajar yang memang dari sekolah rendah, memang agak sukar untuk dia memahami. So di sini yang susah untuk kita, orang cakap secara maya dan juga fizikal. Of course bagi saya secara fizikal lebih senang untuk kita ekspreskan apa-apa yang di dalam koreografi tersebut. Itu pandangan saya sebagai seorang bekas koreografer. Okey. Dah pencen lah.
Tapi belum pencen lagi ya.
Belum pencen. Boleh buat kapal terbang lagi.
Boleh. Okey. Boleh buat helikopter lagi ya.
Oh, helikopter silap ya.
Yeah. Alright. Okay. Thim.
Yeah.
You know, as an artist, right? Maybe can you share with us maybe your experience or maybe your wish list on what we need to equip ourselves with the latest technology in producing theatre performance online? What do you think that what do we need?
What do we need? I think we need to understand why we want to do that in the first place. I think once we are convinced of the reasons why we would want and need to do that, the how generally will take care of itself. How-to manuals are, you can learn how to use the applications online for, very easily. And there's the technical support pages that you can access. But once you need to do it and you feel the importance of doing it, you will search out these hows lah. But I think personally, I would just in my application for grants, I will definitely put down a need as part of the grant application process for a technical advisor, somebody who will be accessible to me to handle these kinds of things or to be able to push me sort of like a stage manager for tech kind of role. But I think for younger people who are coming up, as I said earlier on, I think it's extremely important that the use of technology be normalized, become part of the sort of ivory tower style of work that we've been doing, with regard to live performances that exist.
Pak Cik Bam, macam mana Pak Cik Bam? Kalau macam yelah, we always say like maybe this one is going to not going to last. I mean we don't need to learn about the technology. Tapi kalau macam Cik Bam kalau macam we don't know, because this pandemic probably is going to on and on, we don't know, it's not going to stop. Apa yang kita rasa kita kena equip ourselves dengan the latest technology? Macam mana pun kita dah tak boleh buat apa-apa dah, kita tak boleh, maybe in future memang kita tak boleh langsung bersemuka. Kita kena juga tahu macam mana nak adjust ourselves dengan latest technology. Macam mana nak atasi masalah tu, Cik Bam. Apa yang perlu kita kena faham? Kena siapkan diri kita kena ready lah. Macam bertawakal je lah, kita kena gunakan teknologi. Whether you like it or not, we have to equip ourselves with the technology. Macam mana Cik Bam?
Okay, thank you.
Tak apa, okay, should be okay kot.
Betul Prof. Sekarang ni ada setengah orang tu zero teknologi dia tak tahu langsung menggunakan apa medium-medium yang ada ni. Bagaimana nak menggunakan FB, itu FB kan, belum lagi ke Google Meet, belum lagi nak guna Webex dan sebagainya, Zoom dan sebagainya. So bila berlaku ini kita bukan cakap pandemik itu kita bersyukur kerana pandemik itu datang, bukan. Maksudnya bila berlakunya pandemik ini maka masyarakat telah buka minda. Okey. Telah buka minda dan proses pembelajaran sekurang-kurangnya ibu-ibu kita itu, kakak-kakak kita yang oldest, yang dah tua dah tu, belajar bagaimana nak guna Food Panda. Sekarang Food Panda menggunakan aplikasi kan. Okey. Bagaimana nak guna Grab dan sebagainya, itu pun adalah teknologi yang kita harus yang orang cakap teknologi yang simple yang harus kita belajar. Itu belum lagi bagaimana kita nak menggunakan Google Meet yang saya sebut tadi, Webex dan sebagainya untuk kita nak explore benda itu. Jadi nak tak nak, macam Prof cakap, nak tak nak kita harus belajar sedikit demi sedikit untuk orang cakap dalam masa yang kita berlakunya keadaan sekarang ni menyebabkan kita harus belajar teknologi terkini. Bukan suruh belajar teknologi yang terlalu advance, bukan, tetapi yang basic yang saya sebut tadi. Jadi sekurang-kurangnya saya nampak sekarang, okay, sebab itu bila saya mohon kepada semua penggiat NGO, ada betul, ada yang tidak dapat aplikasikan buat rakaman secara virtual sebab nak menggunakan telefon dan sebagainya agak sukar. Tetapi bagaimanapun boleh cakap 85% lah 85% yang boleh mengaplikasikan teknologi secara yang baik lah ya. Jadi saya rasa nak tak nak kena belajar. Kalau tidak kita terputus hubungan. Itu pandangan saya.
Kita ada soalan sini from the Dean of School of the Arts. Actually related to what actually Thim was actually saying just now. The question was actually, do you think that online performances will no longer be an option? It may be the new normal. What is your take on that, Mr. Thim?
I think the notion of online performances, I think, needs to be clarified. Whether we mean live streaming or whether we mean recorded performances and played back online and made accessible. I think online performances that are streamed online and shown online are here to stay. They have I think that they have an important role to play in the way that we present our work and the way that we access and develop our audience. I don't think that it's going to be the new normal, as in we will be forever not able to meet each other again in the flesh. But I definitely think that it will have a bigger role to play in the way that we do things from before the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay. So I have this question. All right. Let's say when it comes to the performance, during the performance, if it's online, if it's interactive, connection issues such as a bad weather can be very, very challenging, right? Let's say if you are a director, if you are a producer, will you compensate those who have actually bought the ticket online? You know, something wrong with the production. Will you compensate that during the show because something wrong with the performance?
Well, traditionally, if there is if one of the actors was sick, or if we couldn't run the performance for some reason or other, we would offer a refund. Or if there was a technical problem like with the lighting and you couldn't, the show couldn't be saved, so to speak, then we will give a refund. But we have run shows where we have bulbs and light and spots blowing in the middle of the performance, and we have carried on, and we have encountered. And in Sincat here, we have performed through storms, when it's storming outside and rain coming in, and it's acceptable as part of the experience of encountering a live performance. And I would expect that to be the same with a live streamed performance, because you are essentially seeing things as they are happening at that time, and it's not edited. So it's the same experience. It's just that you're seeing it two-dimensionally rather than three-dimensionally. So yeah, no, I wouldn't offer a refund if it started raining outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cik Bab macam Cik Bab, kalau macam let's say ada performance orang bayar kan, and then something wrong with the connections and with the line kan, will you compensate orang, you have to, those who have bought the ticket online, and how would you manage that, to do that? Because I know the fact that there are actually theatre companies that would do that. They would actually compensate because of the due to the bad connections and whatnot, and because people actually can only watch on that particular day. Jadi mereka nak mereka tak puas hati lah, because performance tu adalah memang tak boleh berlangsung. So pendapat Cik Shafii macam mana? Nak kena compensate balik ke?
Jadi pandangan ketika berlaku pandemik lah kan. Tapi macam kita dah awal-awal lagi memang kita tak menerima lah perkara itu kan, sebab kita pun tidak ada orang cakap persembahan pada ketika ini. Di mana-mana saja pun tak ada persembahan. Tapi ada setengah saya tengok ada medium-medium yang kumpulan-kumpulan NGO yang menganjurkan membayar dengan menggunakan melalui FB dengan cara pembayaran tu, baru dia akan buka sekatan tu kan. Iaitu kalau di premis kerajaan memang tak dibenarkan langsung lah sebarang persembahan. Di mana di seluruh Malaysia lah memang tak dibenarkan. Adakah itu saya menjawab?
Jawab. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the issues of the copyright. I mean, there's always the issues with copyright if you perform your production online. Thim, how do you deal with this situation? If you want to do a performance, I mean, are you probably like trying to avoid using the the existing composition because of the copyright issues?
So far, well, I'm aware of this, and I'm aware that Facebook will, silence you if you are using
yes,
a copyrighted piece of work in your stream, and the previous directors workshop, we had warned the participants that they cannot use copyrighted music. I believe there is a library of work that is available, a sound library that doesn't have any copyrights, or that copyrights have expired, that you can use. I think it's a good thing because it forces you to create new sounds and to find and to bring into the into a more collaborative process musicians as well in your work if you want to use sound and you want to use music, and to create create original work. But I feel that if you really do want to use a piece of copyrighted music, there are ways. I think Facebook itself has a list of instructions of what you can do to overcome this problem, or to get a copyright permit.
Cik Bam macam mana? Ada tak macam ada deal dengan this situation? Somehow kalau online yang menggunakan benda-benda yang melibatkan copyright ni?
Setakat ini yang saya tahulah ya, semasa saya berkhidmat di JKKN Ibu Pejabat, memang kami ada telah dimaklumkan tentang copyright ni ya. Sebab kami di bawah, masa itu saya di bawah PPSB ya, Pembangunan Produk Seni Budaya, yang memang in charge pasal copyright dan sebagainya. Jadi memang telah kami deal dengan, saya lupa lah nama yang pasal copyright tu, company tu, agensi yang copyright tu. Memang kami deal dengan mereka bagaimana supaya perkara ini dapat
Diselesaikan ataupun
diselesaikan atau diatasi. Kemudian dia bagi tahu bagaimana kita kena register kita punya persembahan itu. Bukan kita panggil register, kita panggil apa ada satu lagi tu, lupa lah pula kan, petang-petang ni kan. Kan?
Minum teh ais dulu.
Minum ais dulu. Jadi setiap kita punya program itu, kita harus ada terms yang kita guna tu, saya lupa lah. Ruslan Rahman masuk. Okey. Tetapi copyright ni harus kita jaga. Kita jaga sebab kebanyakan program-program istana di JKKN banyak yang belum lagi yang di copyright setakat inilah. Jadi kita selalu kena menghormatilah karya-karya yang akan disiarkan dan sebagainya. Kita tidak boleh mengambil sebarangan sedutan dan sebagainya. Kita kena mohon daripada pihak yang berkenaan sekiranya kita memerlukan program ataupun dari segi petikan buku dan sebagainya. Itu pandangan saya lah.
Okay, let's move on to the other question. This question probably to Cik Bam dulu. How do you sustain your acting space theatre halls during this pandemic? And not only saya gabungkan sekali soalan ni, macam mana nak sustain because of the pandemic now, because not being used, theatre halls not being used, and then macam mana penjagaan props, and then the costumes, and then the musical instruments will be affected as well. Do you have any problems to ensure that these items are in good condition? Because ni lah benda tu dah kita tak gunakan. Macam mana nak diatasi masalah ni?
Betul. Kita ada contohnya dari segi prop, kostum tu, ada pihak yang akan jaga, yang kita telah pun orang cakap, tapi masa pandemik ni memang kita tak benarkan lah siapa-siapa yang hadir kan. Tetapi ada pegawai-pegawai ataupun yang menjaga tentang kostum dan sebagainya lah. Tapi macam auditorium tu memang kita akan masuk dalam sebulan sekali kita akan masuk untuk melihat apa dia yang berlaku dalam auditorium dan sebagainya. Jadi saya kata tak ada masalah yang besar sangat lah berkenaan dengan itu. Sebab dari segi maintenance dan sebagainya, memang kita akan selalu pergi tengok lah. Kita takutlah nanti ada apa-apa kan, isu yang timbul dan sebagainya. Tapi so far memang tak ada masalah berkenaan itu. Itu yang berlaku saya rasa bukan JKKN Pulau Pinang saja, JKKN di seluruh Malaysia pun sama. Yeah.
How about you, Sek Thim, about your stuff, about, I don't know, your studio, your Singke, were you worried about your theatre halls not going to be get the normal situation, and you need to take care of the whole hall, the acting space, all your equipment and all that? Do you really worry about the whole conditions because not being used and all that?
Yeah, it is worrying, especially the electric, especially the lights. I haven't checked the condition of my lighting board, so I don't know at this point, after 1.5 years, whether or not the wiring is still functional, or whether the board itself is still functional. I think you're quite familiar with the indoor conditions of the old houses in Georgetown. There's a lot of salt in the walls, and that speeds up the deterioration of electrical hardware very quickly. And then my air conditioning has stopped working, so I'm not even going to bother with it, because if this space ever gets an audience again, it's going to be open air. The space itself has walls only on two sides, so it's open to the elements on the other two sides, and then with fans, that's how we will probably proceed. Being a small space like this, this is probably how we will proceed from here, opening up everything and not having any kind of recycled air, and using fans to increase the circulation.
Okay. Okay, Cik Bam. Can you share your experience with those that our fellow artists, out there, especially professional artists who are struggling to earn their living because of COVID-19? How bad is the situation out there for the professional artists in Penang? And how do they cope and adjust their position as a live performance artist? Not only theatre actors, musicians and all that. Do you come across with this problem that you know of, Cik Bam?
Untuk diorang terus aktif di Penang ni betul
Ya.
Dalam masa sekarang apa yang berlaku lah tapi agak orang cakap sedikit turun lah dia punya perkembangan sebelum ini di mana mereka yang mana kita panggil penggiat lah NGO yang dari luar tu untuk terus berkarya tu agak menurun lah, sebab dalam situasi sekarang ni memang bukan sahaja untuk menggunakan tempat ini tetapi tempat masing-masing pun sukar untuk berkarya. Contohnya kalau seorang pemuzik dia nak berkarya di rumah. Ini saya alami daripada apa yang diberitahu oleh beberapa penggiat. Sukar kerana akan berlaku bising dan sebagainya dengan neighbor, jiran sebelah rumah. Agak sukar. Jadi jadi banyak perkara, tiba-tiba sahaja ada orang nak menari secara solo di rumah. Jadi memang tersekat. Aktiviti yang sering dilakukan itu dah menjadi tersekat. Tapi walau bagaimanapun jika orang itu berminat dengan seni, dia akan melahirkan juga karya-karya itu dengan cara apa sekalipun. Sebab itu sebagai contoh saya selalu menggalakkan semua penari-penari saya untuk berkarya di rumah di mana sahaja dalam apa bentuk pun, dan hantarlah hasil-hasil karya itu kepada pihak JKKN untuk kita sebarkanlah kepada semua orang. Jadi inilah antara yang sebab kurang. Saya rasa memang ada pengurangan dari segi explore untuk mereka terus berkarya. Saya rasa memang ada. Jadi mungkin berlaku orang contoh kalaulah penari itu sekiranya dia memang full time dancer, sekarang dia dah change dia punya kerjayanya menjual nasi lemak, maybe menjual makanan, memang dah ada yang menjual makanan itu. So inilah yang berlaku sekarang di era ini. Tetapi hidup harus diteruskan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Thim? I mean, from you probably have your friends and colleagues and all that. Well, with all this problem, they're having all difficulties. Can you share with us about their what they're doing at the moment?
I think the lockdown has affected different people very differently, and it has really shown the discrepancies in the society that we are living in, and in the same way, these discrepancies can be seen also in the performing arts community, and not only amongst differences in socioeconomic classes, but also in terms of the kinds of activities that they have been involved in. Now, actors have traditional in Penang have not in the past so-called earn a living being an actor, being stage actors. They've always held another job. And depending on what kind of job they've been holding, some are affected and some are not. Of course, those who are employed in the private sector are severely affected. People who are working in the music industry are terribly affected because they depend on gigs in pubs and in clubs, and they do collaborations with dancers as well, and who are also very, very badly affected because they don't get to dance and they don't get to perform in corporate events anymore, which was one of the sources of income for them as well. And the technical side, of course, production and technical side, a lot of people have work as sort of events management, work in events management, and that has dried up as well. So in terms of earning a living, it has severely impacted quite a few people, right? It's not even throughout, but it has had a significant effect. But in terms of creativity, we are still here. And quite a handful of people have found different ways of expressing that creativity. Miss Lina, for example, Miss Lina Mustafa has started a series of writing love letters.
Love letters, yes.
Yeah, so she has invited people to request for a love letter, and she will write a love letter. And then if you choose to, you begin a communication process. Jazz saxophonist Julian Chan, he has Friday afternoon jazz sessions for 1 hour. So every Friday afternoon, you can tune in and have your lunch and you listen to him. Now, I don't know whether he has a pay to view or not. The last time I went on his Facebook page, there wasn't. Yeah, so, a lot of things that other people are doing to keep themselves going. When Aida Reza could, she did performances live in gardens, by the sea.
Spice Garden.
Yeah, and into the sea, in very, very open kinds of spaces. I've talked about Kinsa earlier on. Hock King, who's the president of ZXC theatre troupe, is in the middle of preparing for his 30th anniversary celebrations. It's all gone online and they are rehearsing online. And he is furiously writing for grants for next year's projects. Yeah. So that's so a lot people are finding ways to keep themselves going creatively as well, out of necessity.
Yeah, I want to ask you this question, but actually, we have Marion here also have the same question. So I mean, it's almost the same question. So we have a question from Marion De Cruz. What do you think is the role of the government during this time when artists are facing so many challenges? Maybe Cik Bau boleh jawab?
Apa soalan dia tu? Oh, dreaming.
Boleh kata macam ni lah, saya boleh rephrase lah. Do you think there are enough incentives by the government or related bodies to help those who are having these financial problems? Ada tak insentif tertentu yang dibuat oleh pihak kerajaan ataupun related bodies to help all these artists?
Okey, sebenarnya untuk kalau di pihak kerajaan ni ada beberapa insentif yang kalau boleh saya share lah ya. Dan mungkin orang di luar sana pun mungkin orang cakap tak tahu yang ada insentif-insentif yang disediakan oleh JKKN ya. Sebenarnya ada 3 saya akan maklumkan. Okey, antaranya ialah jenis insentif yang terdapat di JKKN ialah insentif keuangan, insentif ruang, insentif kepakaran, insentif promosi dan memudah cara bantuan pihak lain. Ini ada insentif yang terdapat di JKKN yang setiap NGO boleh memohon di setiap JKKN negeri. Kalau di Pulau Pinang pun semua boleh mohonlah melalui JKKN negeri di Pulau Pinang, dan kita akan proceed borang-borang yang telah diisi ke JKKN ibu pejabat sebenarnya. Tetapi saya suka untuk memberi tahu kepada semua di sana, di luar sana, supaya anda semua kena register dengan ROS sebab dia bukan bersifat individu. Dia bersifat satu badan bukan kerajaan, NGO, yang memohon kepada JKKN. Itu. Saya baca sikit kena berdaftar dengan pendaftar Pertubuhan Malaysia ROS. Kemudian pendaftaran yang masih sah pada tarikh permohonan mempunyai kumpulan sasar pelbagai kaum. Ada yang saya dapat borang-borang punya permohonan kadang-kadang tak lengkap. Jadi permohonan yang diminta tu untuk dibuat oleh kumpulan itu terpaksa ditolak. Jadi saya mohonlah kepada penggiat-penggiat di sana ataupun sekiranya pelajar-pelajar kalau ada, sebenarnya ada daripada macam makom yang berdaftar, boleh mohon untuk permohonan insentif kewangan di JKKN. Kemudian ada satu lagi di bawah bantuan kewangan badan bukan kerajaan sektor kebudayaan di Kementerian Pelancongan Seni dan Budaya. Ada juga yang persatuan-persatuan boleh mohon dalam bidang-bidang saya terangkan, antaranya ialah muzik, tarian, teater, kraftangan, seni mempertahankan diri, adat dan budaya, seni visual, bahasa kesusastraan, audiovisual dan media interaktif. Jadi boleh dimohon di kementerian kami dan menghantar di sana. Boleh lihat di dalam website ya. Kemudian satu lagi ialah berkenaan dengan dipanggil penubuhan tabung kebajikan penggiat seni. Di mana pernah dengar kan, penggiat boleh mohon di kementerian kami iaitu jenis-jenis bantuan antaranya ialah pertama ihsan, kemudian khairat kematian kalau ada seorang penggiat tu meninggal kemudian perubatan jika NGO tu mengalami masalah pembayaran dari segi dia punya kesihatan kemudian bencana alam dan juga pengiktirafan. Ini antara insentif yang disediakan oleh kerajaan untuk semua penggiat-penggiat. Jadi mungkin penggiat di sana tidak tahu. Jadi selalu kena orang cakap berhubung dengan JKKN negeri masing-masing. Jadi pihak kami pegawai mungkin boleh jawab berkenaan dengan insentif yang disediakan oleh pihak kerajaan dan termasuklah JKKN. Itu.
Jadi ada soalan from actually ada soalan yang agak bertindih sama juga from Dr. Mumtaz tentang funding. Tadi ada sebut dah jawab tadi, is there enough support funding for artists from the state government, dah jawab tadi. Tapi ada soalan juga daripada from Lim Hong Ji here. It is a very crucial time where we see the need for governmental bodies to work together with NGO, with non-governmental performing arts bodies, artists to survive this period and to prepare for the restoration that is yet to come. Any initiative is undertaken or any is coming up? Gabungan antara government dengan NGO. Ada tak benda tu berlaku? Mungkin Encik Bam boleh jawab kot.
Dari segi insentif
kat sini soalan dia pasal maybe dari segi inisiatif lah. Ada inisiatif tak macam nak bergabung the NGOs and also the government membantu the professional artists?
Kalau dari segi kita punya pelaksanaan, dari segi orang cakap bekerjasama dari segi pelaksanaan seni dan budaya itu, memang kita JKKN sentiasa bekerjasama dengan semua NGO di luar sana. Tetapi malangnya berlaku pandemik ini, jadi ada sekatan di situ yang kita tidak boleh berterusan lah untuk bergabung. Tapi selalunya memang setiap kalinya NGO dan juga EJKKN negeri sentiasa akan bergabung dengan persatuan-persatuan di luar, sama ada dari segi persembahan dan sebagainya. Itu yang saya nampak lah yang sering berlaku di JKKN.
Back to the tadi discussion yang tadi Cik Bam cakap tadi. Ini ada Marian tanya juga soalan sama juga. But many arts organizations are not ROS kan. What about freelance individuals? Sebab mereka memang tak ada tak mendaftar dengan ROS. Macam mana pula mereka nak mendapatkan bantuan tersebut?
Okey, sebenarnya orang cakap bantuan-bantuan ini yang mana secara individual masih lagi berpeluang, tetapi walaupun bukan dengan pihak JKKN, berpeluang untuk memohon dengan maafis tersebut ya, macam cendana, dia ada cendana, hasanah dan ada program-program yang secara individual yang boleh diberi bantuan yang bergerak yang tanpa ROS. Tetapi macam kita yang di bahagian JKKN ni memang terpaksa kita ada pendaftaran menggunakan ROS. Yang itu yang telah ditetapkan oleh pihak berkenaan lah. Tetapi jangan susah hati, masih ada lagi peluang dengan memohon dengan pertubuhan-pertubuhan lain yang boleh membantu seperti cendana lah saya sebut, hasanah, cendana lagi. Ada lagi yang beberapa pertubuhan yang membantu penggiat-penggiat. Saya harap saya dah menjawab kot.
Okay. There's a question from Dr. Mumtaz here. Is there enough information, support and funding for artists from the states and government agencies? Maksudnya kadang-kadang takut benda ni tak tersampai kepada the artist. Adakah peluang-peluang tersebut sampai kepada the artist yang terlibat ini sebenarnya?
Okey, saya boleh ya?
Boleh.
Okey, kita sorry kita sentiasa mengeluarkan pasal insentif ini ya. Untuk pengetahuan penggiat semua di sana, kalau insentif JKKN ni sebanyak 3 kali dalam setahun yang mereka akan memohon dan akan berlaku mesyuarat jawatankuasa yang akan memilih yang mana mengikut 100% betul lah yang mengikut kepada yang syarat-syarat yang telah diberikan. Jadi 3 kali ini, jadi semua pertubuhan boleh mohon yang ada ROS itu. Jadi kalau sekiranya maklumat kita selalu sampaikan melalui medium FB ya. Jadi pihak di luar sana rajin-rajin explore kami punya website JKKN. Jadi akan dapat di dalam situ berkenaan dengan insentif dan sebagainya ya. Dan rajin-rajin hubungi JKKN negeri lah, tanya bila akan ada dibuka permohonan tu. Macam permohonan yang tadi tu berkenaan dengan tabung kebajikan penggiat seni tu dia sepanjang tahun. Jadi boleh saja mohon di kementerian berkenaan dengan permohonan tersebut dengan menghubungi Kementerian Pelancongan Seni dan Budaya. Dan boleh juga tengok di dalam Motek, website Motek.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to say something in regards to this matter, Thim?
Well, I think Dr. Mumtaz has a question that might relate to as a continuation of what Encik Shafii is talking about. She asked how has the Penang State played a crucial role in aiding and supporting fellow Penang artists, and I think it also relates to the question that Marian de Cruz was asking earlier as well. Well, the Penang state government has made available grants, very small grants for individual artists who are based in Penang. Who have a 07 IC number. So essentially people who are born in Penang who are artists can apply for these small grants. But as far as I know, that has not, that has already stopped. So the Penang, to the extent of how the what the Penang state government has done so far is essentially that only. I may be wrong, and I may not know about other initiatives that have happened, but I think that they can play a more crucial leading role in terms of reducing the bureaucracy in making spaces, using spaces for performance, for example. Considering the fact that as we are moving into the next phase, or as we move along, we've got to look for alternative spaces that are more open. And right now, in terms of permits, the state government can work with MBPP to reduce the requirements that we need to put in. And also, of course, from federal government, if clear SOPs are given in terms of what we can do and what we cannot do, and if the Ministry of Tourism and Arts and Culture is able to speak up for us and work with the federal, with the rest, with MITI to enable spaces to open up for us to use. I feel that the government can lead in that way to make the infrastructure available, and we will do the work. We will get back in and we will start creating. Because right now, when SOPs are not clear and we see that, the factories are allowed to be open and then we are not allowed to be open, and then, you can go and eat in a restaurant, but we still can't have our rehearsals. So, things like that show that our sector lacks that kind of a leadership. So I think that maybe, they could help us a lot by taking a more active, a more proactive role in terms of making infrastructure available more readily to us.
Yeah. Ada satu cadangan daripada Melin. I think you all know the Melin here. Dia kata sini soalan sini. She thinks that government should actually patut tumpukan perhatian untuk memperbaiki kualiti, tahap dan harga internet termasuk connectivity in a very serious manner for this new normal of technological application to the arts. Even this stream has been painful to watch due to the constant buffering and bad connectivity. What more for performances lah. I think we all know probably that maybe this kind of incentives kan, because sekarang everybody's actually using internet and all that, so there should be ada banyak insentif lah. But I'm not so sure whether maybe Cik Bam tahu benda yang lebih dalam pada ini. Mungkin ada apa-apa feedback pada Cik Bam?
Feedback saya lah, semua orang mengharapkan kita dapat insentif berkenaan dengan internet, sebab sekarang keperluan internet itu sangat penting kan. Jadi kita mengharapkan, saya tak boleh komen panjang berkenaan dengan ini. Kita mengharapkan kerajaan boleh membantulah, itu saja yang saya dapat luahkan lah. Bukan sahaja di certain orang, mana satu Malaysia sekarang, contohnya pelajar-pelajar sekarang menggunakan internet yang sangat, bayangkan dari pagi sampai ke petang kan, mereka belajar mata pelajaran di sekolah-sekolah. Jadi keperluan itu internet itu sangat penting pada ketika ini. Jadi apa yang Melin minta dan harapan dia tu, kita semua mengharapkan sesuatu yang orang cakap baguslah, yang baiklah kepada masyarakat
Okay, I have so many questions, and we also actually thank you so much for our all viewers. Actually, we also have Encik Rosnan bagi pendapat. There are so many of them, but I cannot afford to tinggalkan soalan ni. Di soalan ni memang ada yang the artist minta saya tanya soalan. In terms of payment.
Prof, sekejap. Ada satu soalan yang kata insentif, maaf saya masuk terus.
Ada.
Insentif dari JKKN terhad kepada negeri-negeri tertentu sahajakah? Bukan. Maknanya 14 JKKN di Malaysia ni, siapa pun boleh memohon. Ikut negeri lah, ikut negeri.
Ikut negeri
JKKN
lah.
negeri. So boleh mohon di negeri itu dan ada borangnya dan boleh jumpa dengan pegawai berkenaan. Dan pegawai berkenaan akan ajar bagaimana cara memohon dan sebagainya, dan borang itu akan dihantar kepada ibu pejabat untuk diproses.
Correct.
Okay, maaf doktor.
Tak apa. So nak balik pada soalan tu in terms of payment, because of you think that because of the do you think the artist will get less amount of money because of it is online performance? It should be the same. Sebab katakan, oh no, we are not going to pay you like selalunya seorang pelakon you selalu diberi 3,000 or 5,000. Now because of you are probably at home, you rehearsing at home, you don't need to commute and all that. You jimat all your petrol and all that, so we're going to pay you less. Do you think you agree with this kind of a statement? Thim?
Well, I think the rate of payment is surely not determined by whether or not you are performing online or whether you are performing live, right? It's usually determined by first of all, the amount of work that you're going to do in the particular play or performance, and also the budget that we have. So I don't know. I wouldn't think that it is relevant criteria to use whether you are to determine the payment for an artist, whether the piece of work is going to be presented online or whether or not that piece of work is going to be presented live. Because the technical support
kind of issues because other issues from the producer sometimes I probably pay you less because it's an online production. So we had this kind of discussion before. Even kalau Vanida Ibrahim pernah dengar, dia kata no, you shouldn't degrade our ability, our talent. You should actually pay the same rate as before. So I just nak berkongsi pengalaman. Mungkin Cik Bam ada pengalaman ni tentang rate payment ni. Adakah ada payment tentang persembahan online tu akan sebenarnya kurang disebabkan dia online ataupun bayar sama saja?
Okey, Prof, terima kasih. Terlalu subjektif benda ni. Kadang-kadang kita kata kita menghormati karya orang. Betul. Saya agree. Kalau saya ada di tempat itu pun, please tolong bayar ikut karya orang. Betul, saya setuju. Tetapi dalam ketika ini, dari tahun lepas, JKKN Pulau Pinang sentiasa buat, kalau Prof dan juga si Thim tengok program di JKKN Pulau Pinang, memang padat, memang penuh. Pandemik berlaku tetapi program tetap berjalan lancar, dan kami tetap membayar semua penggiat ataupun artis-artis itu dengan bayaran yang telah ditetapkan oleh kerajaan. Kita memang dah ada Prof, untuk makluman Prof, kalau di kerajaan dia dah ada grade dia untuk pembayaran. Contohnya kita tak boleh bayar kat dia 4,000 5,000. Dia ada apa orang panggil?
Dia punya kadar, dia punya rate lah.
Kadar ya, rate. Dia dah ada kadar dah. Kita tak boleh. Kalau kita nak bayar dia lebih, kita kena justify. Kenapa dah kena bayar lebih? Wah, dia mungkin somebody ke apa ke menyebabkan dia yang patut dibayar lebih. Tetapi, saya ada alami baru ni contoh, saya tak payah sebut negeri mana, saya minta artis tersebut untuk menyertai program kami. Lepas tu dia cakap, dia bagi contoh, dia bagi dia kalau dari luar negeri tersebut, dia kata ini harga dia. Tapi saya ada maklumkan sebab macam Prof cakap tadi. Tapi ini awak tak payah pun pergi guna pakaian yang sewa di luar sana, tak payah pun make up yang heavy, tak payah guna flight, tak payah datang ke Penang, awak duduk dalam bilik je rakam. Begitu kan? Tetapi setelah dia cakap begitu, okay, dia memahami lah. Kadang-kadang mungkin dia terlupa yang bahawa yang dia hanya rakam melalui bilik, melalui cara maya online. Tetapi kalau nak bercakap tentang dia punya orang cakap rate, harga karya dia, memang kita menghormati sebab setiap dia punya apa orang panggil Prof, dia punya creativity, dia punya kualiti seni dia tu kita sangat appreciate. Tapi dalam keadaan sekarang macam kami pun tenat dalam soal pembayaran, jadi kita minta reduce kadang-kadang sedikit, tapi majority semua boleh dirunding. Jadi saya sangat ucap terima kasih kepada ramai artis-artis di Malaysia ni. Nanti kalau tengoklah program kami semua artis-artis yang top yang memang buat album, dia orang sanggup membantu sebab dalam keadaan kita sekarang ni menghadapi masalah ekonomi, jadi masing-masing boleh menerima dengan kadar yang kita minta. Itu antara pro and con dia lah. Tetapi kita tetap appreciate dia punya bakat. Itu pandangan saya lah.
Alright. I think masa mencemburui kita. I think sepatutnya kita punya discussion ni lebih kurang 1 hour saja, tapi kita dah bila dah sampai macam ni. And I also would like to thank you so much to all our viewers. There are so many questions. They are quite related sometimes. So many questions. Thank you so much for all your questions. Maybe I think our panelists pun boleh baca kadang soalan-soalan ni. Thank you so much to Maylin, to Marindy Cruz, Encik Rosman Rahman, the director of JKKN Kelantan, Dr. Mumtaz. There are so many questions, even our student Meshalini. Thank you so much. I cannot. Thank you so much for all the questions. But kita kesetukan masa sekarang untuk kita teruskan lagi kita perbincangan ni. So one last sebelum tirai kita ditutup, one last call ya. What is your hope for Malaysian performing arts industry in the future? Encik Thim.
Well, I hope that the lessons that we are learning during this time will not be forgotten and will be actively pursued and developed. And I think this is a very good chance to reset, I think, government policies towards the arts as well, and funding that is available, which, by the way, even though the government has given 400 million to the creative arts industry, less than 10% goes to us, and it's managed by Cendana, which is further divided between all the different sectors of the performing arts. So you can imagine, what a small percentage that that kind of funding and support is channeled to us under the bigger umbrella of creative industries.
All right, thank you, Encik Thim and Cik Bam. Your last hope for Malaysia performing industry in the future, macam mana?
Okey, harapan satu, saya mengharapkan pandemik ini berlalu dengan cepat dan kita boleh balik kepada perkara-perkara normal yang kita sering lakukan. Kita membuat persembahan secara fizikal dan sebagainya, memeriahkan industri performing arts di Malaysia. Kita mengharapkan itu supaya berterusan program-program yang kita telah rancang, big scale, supaya terus berjalan dengan lancar. Kalau dari segi funding tu, kita mengharapkan satu orang kata cahaya baru lah, di mana mungkin kerajaan boleh tolong kepada penggiat-penggiat dan sebagainya. Tapi apa pun jaga SOP kita. Kita jaga kita. Terima kasih.
All right. All right. On behalf of CREATE, USM, and School of the Arts, thank you so much, Chee Thim. Thank you so much, Shapee,
pleasure.
Encik Bam. Thank you so much for all your insight. Thank you so much for all your suggestions and your comments throughout this discussion on the topic of the challenges of performing arts during this pandemic.